on DirecTV.
Well, let's talk about Pinkerton. How did you approach the writing of that record?
Well, most of it, I think, I was determined to be taken more seriously, and I wrote a lot of songs on acoustic guitar, just me and an acoustic, and wanting to play them over and over on the acoustic until they were really formed beautifully. Before I even played them for the band, I wasn't going to make demos myself. I wanted them to stand up, just me and an acoustic. So I did that for many months, alone in my house. And yeah, I mean, when the first record was, we were really well known for quirky videos and quirky lyrics, and you know, I remember feeling criticized for being like a corporate version of the Pixies or real alternative music, and Geffen had assembled us in some back room, and I wanted to overcome all those kinds of criticisms. So,
did you take that stuff personally?
Yeah.
So were you out to prove something?
Absolutely. I wanted to make a more alternative or even indie sounding, feeling record that would silence those kind of criticisms.
So playing the songs, writing the songs on acoustic guitar, and getting ready to go in and record this second record, were there any feelings of pressure that were upon you from the outside, or were they just internal?
I don't know. I guess I've just always felt so much internal pressure that I'm kind of oblivious to external pressure. I don't even register it.
So you don't take any notice of what's going on around you, like with the record label? You said they got you in a back room. I mean, when record labels get you in a back room, what does that actually mean? Does it mean they're saying, give me another one of those? Does it mean they're directing you?
No, I meant there was a criticism that Geffen had somehow fabricated an alternative band to cash in on the explosion of that style of music. I don't even know what that means or how a label would go about doing that, but I remember reading reviews of our record, and one still sticks in my mind. They called us the Stone Temple Pixies.
Wow.
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
It felt terrible. I mean,
right.
You know, for some reason, the critics of Weezer are always incredibly witty. much wittier than our supporters. So, so those little phrases stick in my mind, and they don't feel good. And
tell us about Pinkerton when it came out, and then what happened. Obviously, you followed up with the success from the first album, and it continues.
Well, it actually was, you know, commercially a very big surprise how poorly it did commercially. And big surprise again how poorly it did critically. Rolling Stone calling it the second worst record of the year, and then selling, I don't know, 40,000 in its first week. It went on to sell about 200,000 in that first year, which is 10% of what the first album had done. I'd never even heard of a drop-off like that from album to album, so it was a huge shock to me, and a big embarrassment too, because I felt like on Pinkerton I had exposed so much of myself and said, all right, I'm putting all pretense out the window. This is me. This is who I am. I'm just going to tell you in the most simple terms. This is what's going on in my life. This is how I feel about it. And suddenly, you know, Weezer's, it felt like we were done.
So it was like a backlash?
I don't know, because it felt like Weezer changed, and our fans didn't like what we turned into. So I don't know if that qualifies as a backlash. But I was really embarrassed.
What do you mean by embarrassed? I mean, describe what
I felt like
means.
it was my fault that I took this band, this community that was really happening, and then I made an extremely self-centered, self-indulgent record and wrecked the whole thing for everyone.
How do you overcome something like that? I mean, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. That's a fairly intense position to put yourself in. I mean, that's like pulling the baseball bat out and, you know, cracking yourself over the head with it. It's all my fault.
Well, it was not easy to come back, and you know, it could have gone the other way, where I wouldn't even be talking to you today. And
so, what was your reaction to that? How did you deal with that?
Well, you know, I thought, all right, I screwed up. I screwed up the whole thing. I'll make it up to everybody. I'll figure out how to go, you know, write more universal, simple pop songs that everyone can relate to. It's not going to be so self-centered. Above all, it's going to be simpler and easier to understand. So, give me a minute. I'm going to go figure that out. 4 years later.
Right. Well, first of all, what did you do for 4 years, apart from lick your wounds?
That's all I was doing, was trying to answer that question. How do I write songs that are going to make everyone happy again? And if you're working on your own and you've just come off of a big failure like that, it's really hard to get your confidence back and to hear anything good in what you're doing. So I'd get excited about one direction for a week, and then, oh no, that's all wrong. Let me go in this other direction, and so on for, you know, several years. And then it was only when we started getting some really big offers to go play shows. Like, it was a show in Japan. You know, when we had stopped touring in '97, we weren't making any money on the road at all, and we never had. And then out of nowhere, the Japanese market is saying, Weezer, come play here. You haven't put out a record in years, but we're going to give you all kinds of money just to come over here and play your old songs. So we were like, wow, that's kind of crazy. We kind of have to do that at this point. So we did it, and then we put a few other shows, little shows on sale in California. Oh, I remember the promoter said that they did a survey in their region. I think it was Pomona or something, and to see what the #1 band kids wanted to see was, and it was Weezer. And at that point, it was a real weird thing, because we hadn't played in years. Certainly hadn't been on the radio in a while. And so we're like, okay, we'll do some shows there too. And then that turned into jumping on some of the Warped Tour, and the response there was incredible. And that helped the confidence, and we managed to get back on track again, putting out records and touring.